And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't even say it. Boom! Here we go. It's Friday. We got that energy. We're pumped. We're trained. And we're ready to go. So let's get this show on the road. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business, on social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. Let's bring it back, Ham. Time for you to do what you do, Ham. Drop some heat.
Here we go. All right, all you business pros out there, before we jump into the show, just a quick reminder to please subscribe on whichever platform it is that you're listening to us on today. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe and drop a review. Help other like-minded business owners find value from our awesome guests while we rise up in those podcast rankings. We'll sincerely appreciate every single one of you for it. And if you want to be a guest on the show, we'd love to have you on to learn from you as well. Go to www.businessbros.biz, schedule your time, and don't forget to follow us on all our social medias at Business Bros Pod. All right, everybody, we are so excited and honored to bring another incredible guest to the Business Bros Pod. Today's guest is teaching people how to tap into the power of the space that lives between an external stimulus and your internal response. He knows that the very secret to our growth and freedom lies between stimulus and response, and we have an enormous power granted to us every single time something happens. We may not have the power to control the world around us, but we do have the power to choose our response to it every single time. It's easy to get trapped in a cycle of a lifetime of habitual reactions, but our guest reminds us it's important to pause and create a mindful space. He's on a mission to give others the tools to reframe your approach and have a better in-the-moment experience. So if you want to enjoy better relationships and have improved success as an entrepreneur, tune in to hear how our guest can help you be more present, authentic, and connected to the powerful relationships you develop along the way. Joining us today from the language of mindfulness, mindful communications expert, author, coach, and technologist. Welcome to the show, Brett Hill.
Welcome to the show, Brett. I forgot to warn you, we do drop some video clips every now and again, and if they come on, you feel free to react to them, have some fun. That's what we do on the show, is bring nothing but full energy. Welcome to the program. What do you think? 3 minutes in. Are you having fun yet?
Oh, man, this is awesome. You guys are great. Love the vibe, love the energy. What a great welcome introduction. Power play, man. Nice.
And so we roll. All right, Brett, let's do this. How did you get into this space? Like, there's a number of different careers you could have gone down, different ventures you could have gone into. Why this?
Well, I mean, my whole life has been really kind of getting under the hood of what works. I mean, when I was a kid, I was the guy who like, hey, here's a nice little toy. And I'm going, great. And I'm ripping the thing apart and saying, oh, wait, it works like this. Because I wanted to know how things work. And I really got involved with kind of the mechanics, literally the mechanics of kind of everything around me. And then when I got older, it was like, people are kind of interesting, and I'd really like to know how it works between us and what goes on inside people. And so I really spent kind of a long time finding people who could help me understand psychology, communications, like what makes people be people, and where do we really succeed in that, and where don't we succeed? What causes us to trip up? What causes us to be great? And I had some fabulous instructors along the way, and I studied a lot of stuff. And in the meantime, I was also doing technology because, I'm kind of an older guy, but technology kind of grew up, when I was young. And I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. And I love that because it's like getting under the hood and making things work, and like all this new tech, and it's like really changing the world. And so I got on board with that, and I had a career in technology as well. So I worked for Microsoft and some other big companies, kind of, talking tech with people. And I had this parallel thing with kind of the inner world and the inner communications world. And then the last couple of years, I just pivoted into, now I'm just going to like roll it all out, all the stuff I've been gathering and these tools and techniques and that have really been so powerful in my life and can help a lot of other people too.
It's a perfect pivot into what you're doing. And it's funny, as a kid, I used to break things apart too. I just never put them back, right?
Yeah, well, that's the problem, right? Yeah, I mean, you literally learn that putting things back together is a really different skill than disassembling them.
I hope you're insured.
Yeah,
James, you're on point today.
that.
Exactly, destroying everything in my path. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about human beings, because it's funny. We're all individuals. We're all different. We're all unique in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Ain't no thing like me except me.
And yet, like Rocket, right? There are a lot of things that we have in common. There are a lot of things that that tend to trigger us. There are a lot of responses that we have that can, essentially we can guide a herd of humans in a certain direction. You see it all the time in social media. You see it all the time in politics. You see it all the time in religion. Human beings are a lot more alike than we like to think. Would you say?
Absolutely. And that's a big part of it, is to first start looking around. And I mean, in the culture, we're also like individuated because, hey, be the individual, be the guy, be the, the rock star, stand up and stand out and go your own way and sing it my way. It's like there's so much about individuation. And that takes you far, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. But if you hit pause on that and you start to look around, you can see that maybe we don't have the wiring together between us, the fabric of the culture, kind of the, how we actually work in a culture is together. I mean, you don't build a skyscraper by it. One guy doesn't do that. You don't build a city by yourself. You don't build an economy by itself, and even a good business is, you need people, right? And so it's like the things that we do together are the best and biggest things that we do. And so we really have to sit down and look at like, okay, so what's going on? How does all that work? How can we relate to people who are actually really different from us? If you press pause on that, you really get underneath, under the hood, like we were talking about, you start to realize that, like you say, we have a great deal in common. And it gets pretty kind of serious in a way. If you go back, like we all know what it's like to be like 2 years old and having a fit, we all have that. And we all know what it's like to be really hungry and really sick. And we all know what it's like to have relationships that are, hopefully, what it's like to have a good relationship at least some point in your life, one you light up about, and also ones that kind of didn't light you up so much, and kind of like left a ding or two. We kind of know what that's all about. We've been, ill, we've had big successes, we've had big disappointments. And if you start looking at the commonalities of the human experience, there's a tremendous amount. Now, we differ a lot on like, well, I think this and I think that. But if you get underneath in terms of what do we all know about what our experience is, our common experience, there's a lot there. And if you start from that, whoever you're working with, then you start on, there's a lot of common ground, even if it's not spoken.
I've been saying it, Miguel. I've been saying it.
I've been saying it, one of the things that we always say is, I believe most people are good. We have the same intention. We want, our household to be, maintained or taken care of. We want to be able to, put food on the table. There's a lot of those core things, and I'm hearing you, as I'm hearing you describe it, it's almost like we're going back to the caveman days, right? Like the whole reason why we have a herd is to protect ourselves, to grow and to protect ourselves. And I think in what you're describing, much of that biological, whatever's ingrained in us doesn't really go away. So how does individualistic characteristics, how do we explore those things while not destroying the herd? Because let's face it, most of us might claim to be a leader, might claim to have an independent, point of view. But when it comes down to it, in a group mentality, we follow the herd.
Dude, I almost had you.
Almost.
A lot of people do, but it's interesting because you have to learn to, in my experience, what I hope for someone is that they know when to be a leader, be the voice that's leading, and they also know when to follow. And it's not just a blind, I'm just going to do that because I'm the zombie that's following. It's kind of like, oh, there's a thought there, It's like, oh, I'm going to lead now. There's a choice. I'm going to lay back now. And that's how you know whether you're being thoughtful or mindful or present, because you're aware that you're making a choice. There's a thought there that's like, what do I do? Do I go this way? Do I go that way? Rather than just going and there's no one home. So there's a difference between what you might call automatic behavior. That's what they call in mindfulness lingo. It's like the automatic mode network, which is just kind of the one we work on all the time. Somebody says something, you say something back. You're not really thinking about it. You're just reacting back and forth. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you live your whole life that way, then pretty soon you look back, when you get to be kind of towards the end of your life, you look back and you go, I kind of did things on automatic a lot. I wasn't really super intentional about a lot of things. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can be intentional. You can create depth. You can create meaningful moments in your life so that your life is a whole lot richer every single day. You just have to be present for it.
It sounds like you're describing how we build meaningful relationships. We have a lot of acquaintances, right? Yeah. I mean, I work on a school campus in the mornings, and there's 3,000 kids on our campus, 220 teachers. Wow. And I can recognize a lot of faces, but I don't have meaningful relationships with all of them.
Yeah.
And that is, did I hear right? Is that kind of what you're describing here? The difference between just kind of reactive and then actually being mindful about it?
Well, yes. And I would add to that it's like, okay, let's say you're on the campus and you're looking around and you're seeing all these people. And if you stop for a second and you think, you know what, we're all in the same boat. You start to feel this, we're a member of the family of humanity. We're a member, and even in your case, it's like, remember, we're all here at this school. We all want to learn. It's like, we're all on the same team here. And even though you don't know the individuals, like their name and their story, they have one. And you can go, yeah, they go deep. They have things that they love. They have ambitions. They have hopes. They have fears. They have things that they celebrate and want more of in their life. And you can look around you and go, this feels pretty good to kind of be in the buzz here, in the mix of all these people that I have a lot in common with, even though I don't have a personal connection with everybody. Then when you meet somebody and it's casual, there's still this sense of depth. So it can be, I guess I want to put out the idea that it doesn't necessarily have to be superficial just because it's a casual relationship. It can still on your end you can still be feeling somebody. You know what I mean?
Tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift.
Nothing like the present. The present is one of those great gifts. James, you're on fire today with those clips, man. I'm just saying, dude, throwing them out there.
That's pretty good.
All right, Brett, tell me a little bit about that external versus internal responses. Yeah. I feel like I'm hearing you kind of subtly talk about those things. What is it that you mean when you talk about external and internal?
Well, I mean, let's just say somebody walks in the room and they go, you know what, your show sucks and you don't know what you're doing and there's no reason you should have a microphone. Okay, now what are you going to do? Right? So you're going like, whoa, okay, you got to
agree with them and turn off the mic.
Yeah. Which is, they would be obviously wrong. But still, though, what happens to your energy is like, okay, so you can just go back, well, what the heck what's that? What are you talking about? And get kind of in their face about it, which would be legit in a million ways. And also possibility. So that's the outer experience is the person comes in and they start jumping down your throat. The inner experience is, whoa, what's going on? And then what? You want to come right back.
You
right?
can't handle the truth.
That would hurt.
Exactly that. Right. So you want to give them something that they can handle. Well, maybe you don't want to give them something they can, but you want to hit pause. In mindfulness practice, you go, wait a second. Okay, I can see this person's upset. And you know what? I know what my worth is, and this person may not get it. That's on them. It's not about me. And so your inner experience is one of okay, I'm noticing that I want to jump down their throat. I'm going to take a pause because I've been practicing this mindfulness stuff. I'm going to say to the person, I can see you're angry. What am I not doing that you don't like? And you can ask a question, and go, okay, when they're going, well, okay, great. But their problem is over there. It's not in your lap now. Now, which way is going to have a better day for you?
Oh, 100%.
Fine by me.
Exactly. If I just adjusted it like Ross, I could walk away from the problem.
Exactly that, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
It's funny because I shared this same scenario with my high school seniors. I'm like, I heard this story where this guy was talking about how he was at a bar with his wife and somebody walked by and smacked her in the butt. And
Whoa.
so right away he was thinking, okay, what should the response be? And your initial response is, I want to pop that guy in the face. But then he thinks back and he's like, well, think about what could happen though. Like that guy could be carrying a gun. That guy could have a knife, right? That or worse, you actually knock him out. He falls down. He breaks his, busts his head open. He dies. You're in jail for 50. Is it worth the consequences of what could happen? And I think that if I'm hearing you correctly, that pause. That's where you have that internal response. That's where you're thinking about it. Is that something that we can that we learn over time? Is that a maturity thing? Is that a practice thing? How do we master that internal response?
Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where you can really that's where the practice comes in. I have a saying in my work, which is, if you want to be mindful under stress, you have to practice when you're not. Right. So it's like, you don't go into the ring. You don't just decide you're going to be a boxer, put on the ring and just go in. You don't decide you're going to be a rock star, go buy a guitar and walk out on stage. You got to practice. Right. And so mindfulness and the practice of being more present when you're just walking through the day is something you can practice when you're not under stress, so that whenever somebody does slap your wife, you can go, hey, I've got some what I would call resilience here. I have some choices. And you said it exactly right. That moment, I can't tell you how powerful that moment is. Absolute magic. It's gold. It's everything, because in that moment jails are full of people that didn't have that moment, right? If only I had not pulled the trigger, if only I had not been reactive, I would have gotten 20 years of my life back, right? And so it's like, now there's a time that you want to be responsive, like somebody, the room's on fire. You don't want to sit down and go, oh, gee, I wonder how do I really feel about that? No, that's kind of like, I'm out of here and you're gone. So there's a time for that. But when you're feeling like threatened by other people, and it's really hard, because you mentioned it before, it's in our neurology that, hey, we spent 100 million years on the savannah with saber-toothed tigers, and you hear a growl and you go, you're ready to mobilize because your life depends on it. And so it's not that different these days when somebody comes in and threatens you or challenges you. I mean, even though it's not like, saber-toothed tiger or they don't pull a gun necessarily, it feels the same to you neurologically. And it's really what I call low-level neurology. It's like low in the brain system. The brain has layers of stuff. And the lower levels are the ones that are fight and flight. I'm going to slug you now versus I'm going to, run away. Those kinds of decisions are really hardwired, and they're intense. And for some people, they're like overwhelmingly intense, and it's really hard to breathe a moment into that. And the part of you that knows to breathe and that stays online, that makes a decision, that's what they call a higher brain function. It's a higher capacity in the brain. And you can practice that. You can actually give that part of your brain more gray matter. Literally, you can grow that part of your brain through certain mindfulness practices. They've done the measurements. They can see, like, oh, guess what? The higher cognitive functions, that part of the brain is now bigger because they've been practicing this mindfulness meditation practice. So there's a meditation practice that is primarily the thing that people do with this, and it's really very simple.
I didn't think you had it in you.
Yeah, I'm your Huckleberry. That's super interesting, because we're talking about a live interaction, whereas today there's a lot more interaction that happens on social media. Maybe I posted something and it's not a two-way conversation. It's a one-way conversation. It's a piece of content that's out there. Maybe it's an opinion. Maybe it's, I'm showing something that's going on. and we're still getting stimulus. We're responding on on one of those like stimulus response levels that you're talking about here, whether we have a Facebook fight or whether we have, interact with somebody in the comment section. What can you say about, dealing with that? Is that a way to practice some of those initiated responses? Because you could type all kinds of stuff out. You don't actually have to post the response right away, right? You can hit delete.
Wow. No. No.
I wasn't aware that was something a person could do.
Fire, James. Fire.
Wow. Man, where do I give the awards, man? That's awesome. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. And come on, we've all, posted stuff and gone, what the heck did I just do? And like tried to draw it back. And it's easy to do. So absolutely, learning to take a breath and go, wait, what's the outcome here really? Am I going to make a difference with this? Is this going to go anywhere? I mean, there's no point in arguing with people on Facebook when there's no one there to argue with, if you know what I mean. There's like no one really, you're not going to change anyone's mind. And so if you're just going back and forth with somebody who's entrenched, you're entrenched, it's kind of like, and do you want to be that? Is that the way you want to be in your life? I hope not, because we all have better things to do than to pour our emotions out into efforts that don't get something back. It's like if we're not building up, we're wasting time often, usually, or settling in and being present with ourselves. So as you're typing, how do you feel when you're being mindful? The practice is like, how do I feel right now as I'm typing this? Oh man, I'm angry. I'm gonna get there. Well, does that feel good? Do you feel better after pressing enter? Generally not. Right. And so you just kind of go, okay, so what's going to help me feel better here? What's going to really be the bigger picture? What kind of a person do I want to be in my life? And really lean into that as best you can.
I heard Kevin Hart the other day talking about how he doesn't spend much time in anger mode or holding a grudge, because we only have so much time in the day, and it takes a lot of effort, a lot of work to hold a grudge for a long time, to maintain that anger. What are some tips that we can use when we find ourselves in that spot? Maybe we already pushed past that line in the sand, right? Maybe we made that mistake, and we're just fuming. How can we kind of shift out of that mindset and put ourselves back in something where we can continue moving forward?
Well, that's a great question. And so many people get stuck in these emotional hooks of like, if only that, but it's kind of like you're worried about what you did, or you're worried about what's going to happen. And if you break it down a little bit, what's really happening is you're wishing for a reality that isn't here, right? You're wishing for, oh, I wish he hadn't said that, or I wish I had done something different, or what could happen next is just going to be really terrible. And but it's not happening now. It's an idea, and you're living in your head you're living in kind of an unpleasant story about what may or may not happen. And if it's already happened, you can't do anything about it. It's already done. I mean, there might be effective action you can take, but you can't change the past by worrying about it, right? And so the practice is to just get present. And what does that mean? That means like, okay, I look outside and I see, like we had a little, back and forth. It's like, it's a beautiful day here. We're above ground. That's a win, right? And it's like looking outside. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Gorgeous day, beautiful time of year. And it's like, okay, regardless of whatever else is happening, I can connect with the beauty that's right outside my window and go, that's what's real. That's what's in my moment. And if I'm connecting with that, I'm not worried about yesterday. And I have plenty of things to think about. And I have to manage my own churn, so to speak. But the way I manage that is by just connecting to what's really right here in front of me right now. And if that's not great, what's right in front of you right now, look harder. And then also take actions to make sure that you do have some goodness in your life. We all have things that light us up, right? We all have things, whether it's nature or face or music or your favorite person or whatever it is. We all have stuff that lights us up. And pay attention. What are those things? And use those things to help you whenever you're spinning out of control, to ground into your experience and let yourself really have it. Like, oh my, it's not just, oh, that's nice and moving on. It's like, hang out with it for a little while, like really kind of immerse yourself. You know how you get into a hot tub, and you kind of go, and like, whoa, there's a hot tub. And then it's like, oh, hot tub. Yeah. You want to kind of melt a little bit into the richness of the experience that's around. And the beautiful thing about that is if you practice it much, my experience with people gets a lot richer too, because I start to kind of like, yeah, this is pretty good, just being here, hanging out with someone and chatting and being, moment to moment and face to face or face to screen or whatever it is, it still can be a lot richer experience because you've opened the doors in your senses to the richness in your life. And suddenly you start having it all over the place.
That sounds an awful lot like acclimating yourself to gratitude, right? Like, having a journal at the end of the day or having something that you write with and just being appreciating the things that you already have, kind of grounding yourself in the moment. Did I hear you correctly?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. That's definitely in the wheelhouse of the kinds of things we're talking about, because in that case, it's a fabulous practice, because what you're doing is you're sitting down and you're going, I feel grateful. I'm going to take some time intentionally on purpose. So yay, that's a big win, because you train your brain neurologically to do those kinds of things, to find things I feel good about and just note them and actually kind of feel into them, because my work is what they call somatic. It's like you feel into things a lot. I'm kind of a feely guy, even though I'm a technologist. And so you feel into your feelings and you kind of make friends with them. And you go, yeah, that feels great to feel grateful. It feels good to feel grateful. And I just want more of that, in my life. And so making a list of things, and that helps you rehearse in a way neurologically the neural networks that feel good about things in your life. Then whenever something happens that feels bad, you have those feelings as a resource for you, because that feels bad, but I also know what it's like to feel good. It's not like I might feel bad for a little while, but there's a lot of goodness in my life, and I know because I'm tracking it and I'm feeling into it every day. It just becomes more and more part of your moment-to-moment awareness. And that's really what you're after, is these incremental improvements in your moment-to-moment experience, so that you have better days and you have better life. Because what is your life but a series of moments? And if you can have better moments, you have a better life.
That's 100% correct. A series of moments. I love that. We're talking lines in class, and I teach math, and so a lot of lines, and I'm like, I don't want you to think of it as a line, just a bunch of points so close together that it looks like a line. And that's what I kind of think as you're describing life here. It's just so many moments so close together that you're in life that it just looks like a timeline, but it's just moment after moment after moment. Speaking of moments, if Brett, people, you've shared so much information with us today. If people want to work with you, if they want to talk to you, if they want to reach out to you, how can they get a hold of you?
They can go to languageofmindfulness.com, and you can, there's a button right there that says, hey, set up an appointment with me, and I'll talk to anybody for free just to see if, hey, there's a good fit, because I don't want to work with somebody, because I'm not perfect for everybody, but if it works out, we can chat, and I'll help you get together. We'll get together with you, and I'll help you craft a plan for how to have more great moments in your life, and how to be more engaged and happier and calmer and more resilient and less anxious. And it also helps people get clarity about, like, what do I do? What am I going to do? What am I supposed to do? So it's like, sometimes those are big issues for people. I don't know what to do about an issue or about my life. And I don't tell people what to do, but what I do try to help people do is get more grounded in what I call who you really are, kind of like, and then things get clearer. The analogy I use is like, we're all kind of so wound up all the time because of the world we live in, which is like, 2,000 stimulations a second, it's kind of like this, and it's doom scrolling all day long. So it's kind of like, well, what happens when, yeah. So the analogy is like, you know what a snow globe is? Like those Christmas snow globes, you shake them up and the snow is kind of all over the place. Well, we're like that all the time now. It's like the snow's, we're always in a blizzard in our head, so to speak. So we take a breath and we just let that all settle. And then we see what's the, and so this thing's all crazy. People go, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Well, let's just take a breath and let all that settle. And then we see what scene is revealed. And that scene is like you. It's like, oh my God, I'm here in this scene. Oh, there's north. I'll go that way. And it becomes really clear all of a sudden.
Clarity. Seeking clarity. What it's all
Yeah.
about, ladies and gents. Look, I don't know about you guys, but I prefer to live a life of happiness. So if there's anything going on in your day-to-day, you're stressed out, you don't know how to handle stuff, I suggest you reach out to people like Brett. I mean, go to languageofmindfulness.com, check it out, schedule a consultation. Those consultations might change the way you look at things. Your life might change at any given point. No matter what you've done in your past, you can always hit the reset button. And here's an opportunity. Just hit the pause button. Boop. A little bit pause, change a little bit of perspective, and watch your life change drastically. Because look, life is how you look at it. It just really is. There's things that happen. There's things that are going to happen to you, whether they're, external things coming your way, or sometimes you make a mistake and step in it yourself. But it's how you see it, your perspective, that's going to make a difference, whether you're happy, frustrated, or, anxious because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Brett, it's been an awesome conversation. Thanks for coming on the show. We are a testimonial business. That's what we do here on the show. We let we want to hear your story and stuff like that. Can you do me a favor? Can you let me know a two-part question? First part, what was your experience like on the Business Bros? And then second, who do you think should be listening to the show?
You guys are awesome. I mean, this is like so high energy and up level, and I really appreciate the way you reframe everything. So I would say this is an amazing show. You guys are doing a great job, a great service to elevate the conversation and amplify the joy, So it's like, and you're all about the connection and the celebration and the spontaneity. The energy is fabulous. So,
thank you.
You bet.
All right, ladies and gents. Look, testimonials are how you're going to grow your business. Just hands down. When you do a good job for people, they're going to be so happy. They're going to talk about you to their friends and family. And that's great. The problem is that's short-lived. It's only going to last for a couple minutes. What you need to do is capture those testimonials like we just did today, and then share them with your friends and family so that those videos live on the internet 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that becomes your sales force, generating you more repeat and referral business. I'm going to share with Brett the same formula we use to do our testimonials every single day. It's a 3-part framework. It's very simple. Number one, when Brett came on the show, we did a little bit of homework with James's fire intro, and we told him how awesome he is, all the accomplishments he's already done. Then we did the second part, which is we asked him for more of his awesomeness. We asked him questions about what he's doing and how can he help us improve our lives. And then we did the most important thing, and that is we asked for the testimonial. You follow that framework, you're going to get good testimonials just like we did today. And if you don't know how to do that, hit us up. Go to businessbros.biz/testimonials, and we can help you grow your business doing what you're already doing, keeping your customers satisfied and talking about you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And by the way, again, last little thing, make sure you go to languageofmindfulness.com. If you are unhappy, I know these are stressful times. It's COVID. It's 2020. You've gone through ups and downs and peaks and valleys and all kinds of stuff thrown your way. Stop by, take a look, take a mind shift, and see how your life can change. Brett, thank you very much for coming on the show. Appreciate you taking the time.
You're welcome so much. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gents, we'll see you guys again next week. Enjoy your weekend. And as I tell my students, be safe, don't do anything crazy. And if you do it twice.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the Business Bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the Insurance Bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.